So let's talk about the Ainu people of Japan.
Let's.
Who worship the bears and, call them gods. Those are the indigenous people of the Japanese islands. So I don't want to get into a lot of the details about Japanese bear worship. Listeners and viewers can check that out on their own. But the broader point is that they're all the way back. There's some archaeological evidence all the way back that there are Neanderthal people worshiping cave bears because they found these bones of cave bears arranged in a kind of ritualistic like pattern around the remains of Neanderthal people. We aren't even Neanderthal people. That was an entirely different people. A long time ago. Bear worship's been around a long time. That's all I want to say. Pagan Finnish people, they used to call, this is kind of interesting. And this is, so maybe this, instead of just saying facts about bear worship, you were talking about how we're divorced from nature a little bit more to a large degree. Back then, when the Finnish people would hunt bears, because they would go bear hunting, they wouldn't call them bears in whatever language, Finnish, Proto-Finnish, or whatever they were speaking. They would use euphemisms to talk about them, like honey-handed, because they thought if they said the word of the bear, that would call the bear to them at the wrong time, and they'd get eaten by the bear. And so even when they hunted the bears, after they would hunt the bear, they would pretend like it was an accident that they had killed the bear, so that the bears would not be angry at them, and the bears would be like,
great.
"Okay, that's yeah." I mean, it truly does speak to a radically different psychological standpoint than how we live now. It really does. Now, I think that one of the reasons people become upset at Treadwell, which is the main star of the film, is because there are aspects of his psychological makeup that are not familiar to us. So that's enough on arctolatry. Please, everyone use that word as much as they possibly can. I think before I leave arctolatry, though, I'm just gonna
keep that one around
it's gonna
a
be
little
20
longer.
minutes. It's gonna be 20 minutes on bear worship. There are a lot of other pagan rites and a lot of other. So the Greeks had a festival called the Lycaea. I'm not sure how to pronounce that in Greek, but that probably had aspects of even cannibalism in it. So we're talking about a relatively long time ago in human history, where there's all these religious rites, all these I don't want to call them superstitions, but real religious rites, and having
Rituals.
to do with animals. Yeah.
I think the idea of looking at this movie through the concept and the historical understanding of the worship of bears and animals at large also, because this can go even just farther, because you have different cultures that do worship different animals. I mean, we've had this forever. You look at the Egyptian gods, they are part animal in many ways. So with this, with something like this, you can see, Treadwell, I don't think knew about the arctolatry. I can't even say it. Say it again.
Arctolatry.
Arctolatry. Oh, I got it.
ARCTOLATRY.
See, maybe the vocabulary word is not fairly useful. We're learning. I'm learning. Anyway,
I think it is.
we'll continue it,
right.
Unless we receive hate mail over the vocabulary of the day. Anyway, so the thing about it is that you see a different relationship there, where there is, and I think this is something that we have lost, and why we don't essentially worship animals. Of course, we don't, particularly in the Western world and in our society, we don't believe in animals having even these kind of spirits that you can commune with like that. There would be no ground for that kind of belief where, I'm going to thank the bear for its sacrifice to me. That's something a lot you see in certain indigenous beliefs, and like ancient and older ideas relating to animals, because one, of course, you had religion. You could believe in this to begin with. Like, we live in a secular society, so there's a completely different understanding of animals. We don't look at them as at all spiritual beings or anything like that. That, setting that aside now, the thing about...
I do.
Who? You?
I do. Yeah. A little bit. And I think a lot of people do, a little bit. See, I think there's still remnants of this. I don't think you just get to say,
I know
we're
what you
reasonable,
mean.
now we're done. I think, and look, we're talking about a guy who went and lived around grizzly bears. I mean, he is a human being from America, born on Long Island in the 1950s, who decided to go live amongst the animals. So
yes,
I understand in a general way what you're saying, and I agree with it in a general way what you're saying.
You know what I mean, though. I'm not saying
of this.
I think this is the thing here. This is the interesting thing, is that I think previously the reality of needing to fear these animals and needing to respect them because they could kill you and they were a real constant threat in human life birthed that type of relationship whereby you see the animal much more as a being and much more as something that you would commune with. Like, I'm going to thank the bear. I'm going to, give a sacrifice, blah, 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 all these things like that. Because the bear was a being. It was a major figure, or the wolf, or the whatever, depending on the area. The worship of animals is something that would be almost obvious for something that is so present in the human life historically
and powerful. Yeah. And the Ainu people, they believed that the gods existed somewhere off, but the gods took the form of a bear and came down and lived among them.
Yeah. So I think that
arctolatry.
It's a good word.
I'm gonna bring it back. I mean,
Oh,
we're all
boy.
looking for new things to believe in. Let's be honest.